Hello, everyone. In today's Bible readings, we have a theme of God's wrath. God's wrath isn't something we discuss often, or if we do discuss it, it often makes us feel a bit uncomfortable. Some people might say that the God of the Old Testament is one full of violence and wrath, while the God in the New Testament is one full of loving and forgiving. But it is important to remember that there is only one God. God described in the Old Testament and the New Testament are the same God. There's only one God. Our readings today come from both the New Testament and the Old Testament, and both talk about God's wrath. So what does the word wrath mean? The dictionary says that wrath means extreme anger. In our Old Testament reading from Hosea, we have a lament. A lament shows emotion, such as sorrow and grief. We hear that God won't bring God's wrath against Israel. God's voice is filled with grief over a people who are determined to keep turning away from God, like a parent grieving over their child, Israel. The Old Testament talks about God's wrath, but there is also compassion, forgiveness, and God's love for us. Similarly, the New Testament talks of God's love and forgiveness, but also God's anger, disappointment, and consequences of actions. This can be challenging for us, but also liberating. God is a being who feels. God feels compassion, love, disappointment, and yes, wrath. In Jesus, in God who became flesh, we see someone who feels. Feelings themselves are not necessarily bad or good. Anger is not a feeling that needs to be suppressed or condemned. It is what you do with that anger that matters, not the feeling of it. So what does God do with anger? Like a parent or a mentor who cares and loves us, and that causes them to be deeply moved, to feel deeply. God always hopes for the best for us, to be abundant, have a rich life, to reach our full potential. When that hope and that potential is not achieved, our mentor or our parent may respond with disappointment, grief, anger, or wrath because of the possibility they could see and because of their deep feelings for us. How do we bear God's disappointment? There are consequences to our actions, but we are invited into a space of transformation, remaking, renewing, reconciling, recreating. To turn back to God instead of following our own path. Knowing that we are made in God's image, a God who feels and who feels deeply for us. It is always recreating and reconciling.